Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Yes, I am back. I'm the one who's supposed to be saying, I'm the one who's not supposed to be saying welcome back. You guys are the ones to be saying welcome back. I have been a bit of MIA out of the scene for a bit a while, but please know that you guys have been on my mind. I'm still here strategizing, rebranding, doing all of that, looking at the content that I produce and how can I improve and make my content accessible to my target audience. Please note that I did not forget you guys. I was sick. My voice literally sounded. I took a break, and also during that break, I became sick and my voice literally sounded like a frog, and I
What? What?
could not come on here and speak. So now we're back and we're in a better shape and we're back bigger and better. Now in today's video, now before I jump into that, for if you're watching this video for the first time, please welcome, have a seat. Welcome to Empowered RN. I'm Abigail, an international or former international nurse who left Jamaica from the Caribbean and now working in the United States as a registered nurse. So over here, we make content. Specifically, I started out making content for my registered nurses who are interested in migrating to any country that they deem fit and talking about the process, how to get there, the different licenses and the requirements that will be needed. Now we have branched out a bit and we're expanding our content basis and our target audience. I'm now making content for my practical nurses, and you know what is aligned up with that. Any healthcare related field, and I'll be posting content related to that, and we'll be probably branching out a bigger and better because I do have persons calling me from other professions, other specialties that are not in healthcare, asking where, how, what, and when. So one thing about me, I am going to tell you guys that I do listen. If you send me a message on any of my social media platforms such as WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, I do watch the comments and I do respond to you. It's free of charge. You're the ones here who make it available for me to be here. So I do listen to my audience, any questions, any concerns, and I do take the necessary steps to make sure that I get content to you guys. Now, in today's video, what we're going to do is a little Q&A, questions and answers. Now, I did post something on my Instagram page telling people to send me some questions they'd like me to answer, and I did not get any questions. I did not. Now, I understand why I would not get any questions because once somebody texts me on or DMs me on Instagram, I always respond. So I guess everybody got their questions already. So I gathered some questions from my inbox on my TikTok page, and please, people, I think I only have 13 questions. I had more. But when I started going through my inbox, it was a lot. And then I realized that I couldn't find the questions because once somebody asked me a question, it's a chain of communication going down. So I had to be scrolling back up and it was a lot. So I do get a lot of questions. So somebody may be asking, why are you doing a Q&A? It's just to get to know me, and also I am doing a Q&A because I receive a lot of questions.
Oh my God! Wow!
One of the main reasons also I took a break with regards to social media was because of the large amount of questions. I kept clearing my inbox and it kept filling up back again. So I said, hey, let me just take a break and try to clear everything out. Now, with all that being said, I am still open to my inbox and receiving text messages and communications because I do say I do listen and I do respond to your questions and your comments, whether good, bad, or ugly too. All right, so let's jump into it. So we said we're doing a Q&A. So one question, and I look for some common questions that persons were asking me. So this is widespread. I'm speaking to nurses. I'm speaking to practical nurses too. Please note, I did not do a research of the questions before. So this is going to be like an impromptu answering the questions. And if you do hear me answer a question and you have a comment or say, oh, that's not correct, you can drop it in the comment section. We're here to listen, agree, and to disagree. All right. So first question is for my registered nurses. So somebody had asked me which state is the best state due to cost of living in terms of, and also in terms of safety as a registered nurse and patient to nurse ratio. So this is a big question. So, which state is the best in terms of nursing? There are some states that I would recommend for registered nurses, especially if you're leaving your home country, whether you're coming from the Caribbean, whether you come from Europe, whether you're coming from Africa, right? So we talk about cost of living. Now, every state is set up different in terms of cost of living. Over here, you do have some states which rank high in terms of cost of living, in terms that your bills and your expenses, they're going to be high. One common state I love to talk about, which is very high, is New York, and there are other states, California, and all of that. But your pay is matched to the cost of living. However, for immigrants moving, going to a new country, I think, in my opinion, it is better to start at a state that has a low cost of living because you're coming here, not much funds, and you're trying to set up yourself. So instead of having that big bulk of expenses, you'll have less. Now, the common states that I like to talk about, now things may differ. This is since I have been here, which is quite a while. Things may differ, economy changes, things happen, things changes, bills and everything is going up now. But top states for me will include that of North Carolina, low cost of living. Other states include such as Texas, uh, some other states such as Illinois, Maine. You know, those are some good states that I think it will be good to start out from. I'm not saying that these are the states that you have to choose, but if you're looking at cost of living, you're looking at some states with low cost of living, low expenses. So you have the ability to save and to maneuver as you set yourself on the ground and try to build yourself up. This is for registered nurses. So try to avoid the high cost states because your bills and expenses will be high. Coming here, trying to get your rent, your car, everything you want to try and save as much, especially for rainy day. Now, you said which state is the best in terms of cost of living, and we talked about that. Which state is the best in terms of safety for a nurse and also nurse to patient ratio? I cannot answer that because I've not worked in all the states. How I answered this nurse was to tell her that, listen, everywhere is different. Everywhere has different patient ratios in terms of looking at patient safety, patient to nurse ratio. You have private and public or government funded hospitals. What you need to do is to research the hospitals that you have been selected to go to or you have chosen to go to. Research the hospitals, look at their patient to nurse ratio, and you can do that by asking your nurse manager when you're doing your interviews. These are the questions that you need to ask. What's the patient to nurse ratio overall for this institution? So those are the questions that you need to ask. When they answer you, when you get back your contract, please make sure that you see the same thing that they say is documented on paper. The next thing I can give, a little secret, is to go online, type in hospitals. You can use platforms such as Indeed, Glassdoor, which is especially good. I can drop them here and their logos. You can just type in the hospitals and you can see the reviews of persons who have worked there to see the experience of the institution that you're going to. Now, you can also reach out to other nurses that are your friends or co-workers or even nurses that you see on social media now, like myself, and ask them, depending on the state that you're going, hey, have you worked at this state before, or have you worked at these hospitals? What's it like, to get an overview of it, and especially first-hand information, and that's how you can go about it. Now, next question. That question was a lot. Would you recommend working as a nurse in Canada or the United Kingdom? A very common question. Now, when nurses are migrating or they're leaving, especially from Canada, from Europe, Caribbean, or Africa, there are some top countries or continents that people like to choose. People like to choose the US, UK, and the Canada. Now, these are top first world countries. Now you're asking me, which one would you recommend? And I'm here to tell you that I can give you a recommendation that's based on my opinions and what I want. But in your case, if you're asking a question like this, and for anybody listening, you have to go to the places that you want and know what you're looking for. My recommendation can be given, and when you go there, it is a total different experience. But I'm going to be real with you. Canada or working in the UK, you need to look at the amount of salary that you're going to be getting, which is very important. top three countries that pays the most for nurses includes that in alphabetical in numerical order, with one being the highest, is United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Very, very, very important. Now, some people still choose these countries even though their pay for nurses may be low. Why? Because they're looking for other things. Other persons have families and say, hey, I want to have free healthcare and free education to a certain level, which is given in the United Kingdom or Canada. But personally, overall, if I had to choose between Canada and the United Kingdom, it would be Canada for me. Canada for me. When I was leaving, my first choice was literally working in the United Kingdom, but I then did my research and I just didn't do some regular research. I looked for peer reviewed journals with statistics, looking at nursing, looking at the nursing staffing ratios, looking at how nursing is in this country. And I'm not bashing a country or anything. I was just looking at, for me, this is how I know that I love research and I probably need to go into research. So if you're out there and you know anywhere that needs a nurse for research and interested to give her a scholarship, please recommend my name. Thank you. So, and I did a research and I read that most of the nurses left from the United Kingdom and went to other countries like the US and Canada, which is true. It is true. It is out there. And it's based on the number of pay. Now, I always tell individuals that this is for me when I do my research. I'm doing a lot of research and stuff about that. So I always tell persons that for me, it's like a balance. Something is going to balance out something. If you have a low pay, you're going to have high benefits such as education and healthcare. So, and other countries may have higher pay, but you have to pay for education and pay for healthcare. So it balances out, and you have to make the choice and know what you're looking for and choose the country that suits you best for yourself or if you have family and children. Next question. Would you advise anyone to migrate with an agency, being a nursing assistant, and then take the NCLEX? So I got this question from someone who is a registered nurse but wanted to migrate as a nursing assistant, migrate and then take the NCLEX. I don't know if you don't know, retrogression is taking place. A lot of people are on waiting list, so they wanted to see if they could do that. Now, I told the individual this is based on my personal experience. I would not recommend it. Migrate in the level that you're trained for, the skills that you're trained for. I'm always telling this to some persons that reach out to me, just wait. Do not rush your process. Anything that is done fast is always, for me, always leads to disaster. Just wait and do not rush your process. The next thing is that if you're going to migrate through an agency and you want to migrate as a nursing assistant and you may be a registered nurse, I don't think that is possible, because when you submit your qualifications, it's going to show that you have a bachelor's of science degree in nursing, not a diploma as a nursing assistant. And if a company takes you as a registered nurse, they have to employ you as a registered nurse. And if they take you as a registered nurse and then have you working as a nursing assistant, they can get into problems for that, because guess what? The money that you're going to be paid is going to be lower. Registered nurses may receive more than nursing assistants. And if you're being paid lower than your qualifications, there can be some issues with that. So just wait your process, wait until everything comes through, and migrate in the skill or the area that you are trained for. Now, this question was from a practical nurse. What is enrolled nursing assistant? What is an enrolled nursing assistant? Now, in Jamaica, I don't know if this is in other Caribbean countries, we have what we call enrolled nursing assistants. This is called, is it enrolled? I think it's enrolled assistant nurse, EAN. So these are nurses that work. So first you have a registered nurse and then you have an EAN. So she's an assistant nurse. So she works alongside a registered nurse. You would have a nurse first, then an enrolled assistant nurse. Now, personally back home, I loved working with my EANs. They work so well. And anybody that I work with, I always tell them, go and get your RN. Talking about that now, I just remember some nurses that I work with and I know they're doing their RN right now. So these nurses can do some, but not all of the stuff that registered nurses normally do. I know one thing that they cannot do is in terms of if you have critical patients on a unit, they cannot take critical patients. They also, I know back home in Jamaica, they could give various medications such as PO medications, but not IM. And I remember an incident that took place with regards to that. I won't even talk about that on here. Um, and that incident that happened, I think it had some ethical issues in it also. But those are your enrolled assistant nurses. Now, they wear white also back home in Jamaica as the regular nurses, but they will have a green badge, I think, the last time I was there. A green badge that they wear, and that shows that you're enrolled assistant nurse. They do have a body too, just like how the registered nurses have a body. They have a body, a president that represents them, and all of that. Now, in terms of pay, the registered nurse, because they're at a higher level, the registered nurse will receive more in terms of pay, and the EAN will receive a particular amount of money. Now, if you're an EAN, basic functions you still can do, but in terms of leading a unit, taking charge, handling critical patients, serving various medications, the EANs won't be able to do that. Now, this program is offered in Jamaica. I'm not sure if it's offered in any other Caribbean country. And I must stick a pin to say that an enrolled assistant nurse is equivalent to what we call in the United States as a licensed practical nurse. Similar here, they work alongside the RNs. They have a different title, but they can't take or administer certain medications or take certain patients. Now, for your EANs, those that are interested to may do this course back home. It lasts, I think I know it lasts for 2 years or 18 months. And these courses are offered at two places that I'm aware of. If you know anywhere that is offering this, you can just drop them in the comment section. Excelsior Community College and Portmore Community College. Now, I do not know the cost of the program, but if you do, you can drop it in the comment section for somebody that is interested. Now, point to note that when a registered nurse graduates with she does a 4-year program back home in the Caribbean, you also graduate with a Bachelor's of Science degree in nursing. For an enrolled assistant nurse, you graduate, I think, with a diploma. And let us also note that an enrolled assistant nurse is also different from a practical nurse. Different. I think the practical nurses graduate with a certificate. They do, some schools may give them diploma, but a practical nurse does not function as an enrolled assistant nurse. A practical nurse in a hospital setting would be equivalent to what we call in the US a certified nurse aide, or back home in Jamaica, it is classified as a patient care assistant. Practical nurses do not have a license. The RN and the enrolled assistant nurse back in Jamaica has a license number, and in the United States, the registered nurse, licensed practical nurse has a license, but your certified nursing assistants, they are unlicensed. I hope I explained that pretty well. Now, next question is, which agency is the best? And I think I have gotten this question numerous times. I'm still getting it, and I think I have a couple right now that I need to answer. Now, if you're watching this, many nurses that migrate across the world to these first world countries, they operate and do so through an agency. They are called international staffing agencies. Now, for these agencies, there are many of them. As with any business, there are going to be a few that stands out more than the other. I'll always talk about the agency that I went with. This is my personal experience. And while going through my program, hearing the concerns, the issues, and the pay that other nurses were receiving, I did not have that problem. So it's going to be real over here. So the company that I went with was O'Grady Payton, and I'm going to drop it here below. In terms of pay, their pay was a much higher rate for me. In terms of the entire process was just smooth sailing from onboarding to getting my exam done. And also one big thing that I looked out for is after I land in the country, how much they followed up with me. Now my company, literally saves your number and call you every month. It's not, it's formality. How you doing? How's the family? How is everybody? They call you literally every month just to check up on you and make sure everything is going okay. If you have any issues, sometimes some of them you tell them your problem, some of them really can't do anything, but it's just formality. But I actually love that they call, check up on you, make sure everything is okay. You also had a community liaison officer. Once you land in your community or your area that you're going to be living in, they drive you around, help you to open bank accounts. They also show you different places where you can go to buy food. They also, like when I came, my liaison officer placed me in the vehicle to see if I actually could drive. I told her that I could drive, and placed me in the vehicle, allowed me to drive on the road for a period of time, and they said, okay, you're good, you can drive. And if you did not know how to drive properly, because you know you can use your driver's license from back home in Jamaica for a period of 6 months. What they did was allow somebody who, like a nurse's husband or somebody who literally knows how to drive, just to give you some driving skills or testing, just to make sure that you are okay. And I love that. The next thing that I wanted to, I won't big up I won't call her name, but I just like to big her up. I don't know if she wants to do that, but I love my liaison officer that when I came, it was like a support group. We had a WhatsApp group where we talked about all the issues that we were having. They even showed us where we could get our uniforms and get them at a discounted rate. And at the same time too, when we came, it was just like a support group where everybody was like just helping each other out, showing where you can get furniture, where you can go to get discounted items, you name it. And I really love that. And I didn't hear that with other companies. They may have them, but for me, I did not hear of that. And in terms of pay, company was paying at a bit higher, at a much higher rate. They did have their issues, but I did not have an issue with them. When I ended my contract, they said they enjoyed working with me, because good girl over here always make sure she's on top of things and stays ahead. And I'll recommend that to you. Once you sign with an agency, read your contract thoroughly. Make sure that you understand everything. Don't just grab a pen and sign. You're signing away your life. Your contract is a marriage that lasts for 2 years. Make sure that you're up for it. Ask about conditions in your contract. What happens if I break my contract? How much will I have to repay you? Do you have a repayment plan for me? What if I get pregnant on my contract? Please note, that's a whole other story too. You need to ask those questions. Will you be paid or not? And sometimes it's likely a no. So those are some questions that you need to ask. And this is me telling you which agency was the best. There are many other agencies out there, and you can choose the agency that suits you. Companies move faster than some. Some companies have a requirement where they take you like 1 to 2 years of experience. Other companies, it is 6 months. No, a lot of persons have always said why we say this agency is the best, and I'm just giving them their dues. For me, and other people said it, they are the way, the truth, and the light. All right, so I hope that answers your question. Now, other question is, I think this was going back to my nursing experience. Somebody made a question to me on TikTok saying that I'm getting so many negative comments about being a CNA. And that's like being an patient care assistant back home in Jamaica. Now, I'm here to tell you, I'm not sure of the negative comments that you may be getting. I know nursing back home is looked different, is looked upon differently than in other countries such as the US. I had that experience back home too. A lot of persons used to give us negative comments when we were nurses. I got negative comments in nursing school. People laughed at us because we are always in practicum. We were always, when I was doing my 4 year degree program, every summer I was in school while my friends were doing work and travel. Other persons were just at home chilling, and they laughed at us. When I was working, a lot of persons say, how come you're a nurse? You guys are so poor. How do you do it? I would never become a nurse. I would never do that. I can't do that. And honey, I'm here to tell you that those same people that laughed at me and also told me that they'll never do it. I've heard them calling me and see text messages, and heard family members saying and telling me now that they are now registered nurses in some of these countries that we are at. And what I always tell people is that when those people are laughing at us, just take it with a smile, because guess what? We have a vision of what is lies ahead for us. So, and once you're working an honest job, you're not doing anything illegal. Be proud of your job. It pays the bill. It provides job security once you're in anything in the healthcare field, or you're a nurse or a CNA. It's job security and it provides for you and your family. And I've never heard of a nurse or a CNA being at home unemployed, especially when you come to USA. One of the best jobs to take up when you get here that is easy and quick to get into is being a CNA. So do not look down on your qualifications. Do not look down if you're on yourself. If you're a CNA, you worked hard for it. You got trained for it, and it is a skill, and a skill can take you anywhere in the world. All right, moving along. Next question. I think this goes back to my nursing days. Was it difficult in finding a job? I think that was for me when I finished nursing school many moons ago. It wasn't difficult for me in finding a job when I finished nursing school. I did, after you finish your 4 year degree back home in Jamaica, you have to take what we call our board exams, similar to what they do here in the United States, which is the NCLEX. So before I took my RNR, no, RNR is normally in October. I don't know if they still do that now. I printed out my resume, and I also made sure, this is a lot of tip for my young nursing graduates. Another tip that I did, while even though I worked during the summer, anytime that we got a little time off, such as a 2 week break or a 1 month break, I picked up summer jobs. So I literally was not on any holidays. So I did summer jobs back home in Jamaica, and I used those experience to place on my resume. So when I was applying for my nursing job, I was asked in the interview, how come I found the time to do these jobs? I did that because it was at that time in Jamaica when a lot of persons were saying that they're not taking you with experience. So I made sure that I had experience. And I've had cases before where nurses were sitting at home because there was a time when there was a freeze in terms of getting jobs. So I made sure to do that. And on the day of my exams, I left the exam room and then I walked over to the institution. I think that was UA, and I dropped off my application. And I then applied at other hospitals too that same day after I did my exam. And another tip to tell you guys is not to limit yourself, because I did not only apply to hospitals, I applied to insurance companies, I applied to private companies such as banks. I applied to Bank of Jamaica, I applied to Carib Cement. Those are places where you need nursing. For me, I looked at my degree and I said to myself, I went to a university. I was taught a universal language. So I looked at my degree and every single course that we took, and I looked how can this degree be applied to any institution. And when you're a nurse, this is how you operated. I did got called for a job at the hospital, and I also got called for the insurance company work as a nurse. But I eventually took the hospital job. I somewhat regretted it. I should have taken the insurance one and got more money, but I got my experience, and that is what I'm telling you guys: not to limit yourself. Your nursing degree can be used anywhere. You just have to learn how to apply it and use the right words. So it wasn't difficult for me in getting a job when I finished nursing school. And after that, I think 4 weeks after, I got a call for an interview. Did my exam October. By December, I was working. Is your contract and your offer letter the same? Now, this is back to my international nurses. Is your contract and your offer letter the same? I would say somewhat, because this is what, after the agency reaches out to you, you do your NCLEX, you do everything, and now they tell you they're looking for jobs for you, and you do an interview, and they're going to give you that job. They're going to send you an offer letter. An offer letter includes the rate that you're going to be paid, the institution, your shift differentials. If you work night duty, you're going to be paid additional $2. If you're going to get called back pay, if you're at home and they need that extra support and they call you, all of that would be in your offer letter, and it's also a contract too. So I would say it's somewhat the same. I know the agency will give you a contract which shows you their conditions, how long you'll be working with them, and the expectation of you. And your offer letter that you receive from the institution, such as an hospital, it's also a contract for me, because I am signing to see that this is what I am willing to receive as my pay, and I am aware of it. So treat both, and I think both are offer letters. Next question. Can I go from a practical nurse to a RN? How many additional years? So practical nurse to a RN. So as we spoke about, if you're a practical nurse, that means that you did a diploma, probably did 18 months. You're not an enrolled assistant nurse or an LPN. So you'll be classified as a CNA. Now, for you, you go back to school as with the EAN too. They can go back to school and become an RN, but probably I think it's going to be the same years back home in Jamaica. So for you, or bachelor, we do bachelor's of science programs back home, and it will be additional 4 years. So you have to do 4 years back home. And I think here, if you're going to do your bachelor's in the United States, it will be 4 years also. However, they do programs called associate degree in nursing, which is ADN, which you can do for 2 years, or if you want to go to the LPN, I think I'm not sure how long the LPN is. It's about 2 years or so. Don't quote me on that. And that's the amount of additional years you do if you are a practical nurse. Do public health nurses take the NCLEX? Please suggest a board of nursing. Now, your public health nurses back home in Jamaica, these are nurses that graduated from a 4-year program, did their board exam, and were classified as a registered nurse, and then went back to school to get midwifery. And once they did midwifery, I think that's an expectation or requirement of you. They went back to school to do the public health course. So I'm just showing you this to say that you are still a nurse. So once you are an RN, it doesn't matter where that you're working in or whether you went back to school, you're a registered nurse and you can take the NCLEX. And that is the NCLEX is a board exam for countries such as the United States, Canada, and Australia. So if you take the NCLEX, those board exams can be used for Canada, US, and Australia. So once you take that, those are the countries that you literally can work in. So if you're a public health nurse, you can take it. Now, suggest a board of nursing. Now, the board of nursing, there are specific board of nursing that I say is easy, and they make the process more accessible for international nurses. Some boards of nursing, I heard Sati RN, which does a business where they talk about North Carolina, Illinois, Texas. I hear it's very good for international nurses. Some persons have mentioned New York. There's another one, I think it is New Mexico also. So they say these boards of nursing are very good, and they make it easy for international nurses to get registered. Once registered with the board, get your number to test, then take the NCLEX. This is something very important that you guys need to know, that you have to go through a board of nursing in the United States to get your NCLEX done. So those are the recommended boards that I would encourage you to take. Another question was, what if I signed my contract and then I have second thoughts? Very important, very good question. You can sign a contract and then after you talk to somebody, you realize, whoa, I don't want this anymore. No. What I encourage you to do, whatever issues that you're having, reach out to your recruiter, whoever you spoke with to get this job. Reach out to them and let them know the issues that you're having, because it probably could be corrected by reaching out back to the nursing manager and just making some clarifications. And I know a lot of persons may be skeptic because you already signed a paper and you say, oh my, it is done already, but it is not. You're having second thoughts, reach out to them. And I think you can have the ability to say that, hey, I'm not really interested in this anymore, and just ask if any changes can be made. But make sure that you arm yourself with information before you sign your contract. And what I can tell you guys too, don't be pressured after an interview to hurry and sign a contract. Don't. Get your contract, read through it, ask a friend who went through the process already, or read through it. And if you're having any difficulties, reach out to the recruiter and ask your questions. Don't just be jumping just to sign. You are the one here getting a job, and this is a staffing agency that needs you and a hospital that needs you. So literally, the power is in your hand. You're signing to something. So don't be jumpy. Just take your time, read, ask questions. Don't be afraid to come on social media and ask other nurses who have gone through the process. Reach out to somebody that is in your company and say, hey, I'm having issues with this. can you help me with this? And sometimes it can be some simple issues that the manager, they can just communicate and it can be solved. All right. Last question we're going to talk about is retrogression and mental health. So I talked about this on TikTok and I said I'm going to talk about it here. And I did make videos about mental health. Now, retrogression is what happens where the process for international nurses kind of goes on a pause, and we're having that right now. I think they said that the process for recruiting international nurses is on a visa freeze because you do get a green card. I think it's EB3. No, they're on a freeze, not taking anymore. No, nurses have to be in waiting until the next opportunity, which is 2025. What do you do in that time period? It's an entire year. Do I sit down and wait? What if it doesn't come through? What do I do in that time? And that is what we call a retrogression, where it's you're just in limbo and you're waiting. Mental health will just play on you because you're waiting on a process to come through and it may not come through. And I'm here to tell you, whatever is in your mind to do it. And do not wait until you reach a particular location or country to say that you're happy and this is where my happiness will begin. I experienced retrogression too, where it took a time for my process to come through. There was a particular form that the recruiter said that it just kept being denied. I forgot the name of the form. Everybody has this form that they have to go through. For some reason or the other, she said to me that, listen, it just kept being denied, denied, denied. And 3 is my number to be out. And I got two denials. And I said to her, and I did not communicate this to my recruiter. I said, if I get this third denial, I said, cut the process, I am done. And that is me not placing my eggs in one basket. And I'm here to tell you, on the third time she reached out to me, she said, hey, Abigail, we got through. I said, thank you, ma'am, because I was ready to pull that plug. And that's me telling you, don't sit down and wait for something just to happen and just put your life on pause. If you want to go and have a child, go for it. If you want to go buy a piece of land, go for it. If you want to go back to school or invest, be very careful with that in terms of if you, when your process come through, if you're ready to leave, how that will happen. I'm just saying to you, do whatever you want to do back home. Don't sit and wait until something comes. This is my opinion, my experience, my advice. Whatever is on your mind and what you want to do, whether you want to go build, whether you want to just anything that you want to do it, because you never know what may happen on the flip side. Live your life now. Don't wait until you reach a particular location, a particular country, and tell yourself, okay, I'm going to sit down and wait, and I'm just waiting for everything to happen. And when I reach overseas, I want to be happy. Be careful with that. And that's my bit of advice. That's how we look at retrogression and mental health. Because when you're waiting for something to happen and it does not happen, and you get discouraged, depression, anxiety, all of that comes into play. And I'm here to tell you, whatever you want to do, live your life now, enjoy your life. You can still wait on the process. And the most important thing I'm going to tell you, have a plan B. What if this doesn't work out? What if what I'm waiting for doesn't give me that opportunity? Have something as a plan B that you're going to do in the event that it doesn't come through on time and it does not work for you. So those are the end of all my questions. I hope I answered all these questions, because I did answer these questions and send them back to the persons that asked me these questions. And I'm hoping that these questions that I answered may have helped somebody who may not have asked me a question, but it did help you while watching this video. Now, if you guys have any more questions, any more personal questions you want to ask me, what about nursing in Jamaica, my experience here, send me those questions and we can do another Q&A. I hope you enjoy these videos. Thank you for all the persons who have been subscribing, liking, and watching the videos. I do see you guys. Continue watching, guys. I have a giveaway coming up, so keep watching. A very good giveaway that we have coming up. Please remember to like, watch, share, and subscribe to this content. Share it with somebody that you may think that loves this information and will be important to them. Press that like button and press that subscribe button so you can get notifications of when I'm here. All right, guys, thank you so much. See you in the other video.